Back Row Ministry of the World Permit, Mr. Martin coming at you live and direct. I want to do a real quick closing piece to what I talked about as far as the relationship between the Central Park Five and the USS Iowa explosion, torrid explosion, and the energy that was built up from that explosion time to the time of this case and the arrest and the whole plot together, the whole scenario, the whole script. So, we see the USS Iowa, the torrid explosion on April 19th, 1989. The number two, you see how they emphasize number two, we're going to throw that number in. 16-inch gun turret of the United States naval battleship USS Iowa BB 61 exploded. The explosion in the center gun room killed 47 of the turret's crewmen and severely damaged the gun turret itself. All right. So let's go to our numbers, and this is how we tie in our relationships between what we talked about, the Central Park Five, and of course, as a whole, the Central Park Five and its relationship to, of course, that explosion that day. So, if you go to some of our numbers, USS Iowa equals 107, which is a kill code 1726, which has a lot to do with the God number. Also, 2 times 6 is 12, 2 plus 6 is 8. So you got two numbers out of that. Number of deception, you got the number of completion. 46, number of sacrifice, 44, 61. So these are some of the typical numbers we saw with the USS Iowa. So numbers of deception is going to be 53 and 35. 3 times 5, as we said, is 15. 37 is also another but deceiving. 26 is a lie. The Iowa, USS Iowa, 26. 17. So a lot of 16 is in there. So 16 is important because if you go down to Corey Wise, and we'll talk about Corey. Corey Wise was 16 when this happened. Corey Wise also equals 74. 74 in reverse is 47. And remember, 47 people, go back to that story, explosion, and you see where they have the 47 people died. So that's nothing but the reflection of 74. You know, you always have 74 and 47. The foundation of the story is going to be in every story. Also, I watched When They See Us. So When They See Us was the thing that Oprah did, of course. And When They See Us equals 74. When They See Us equals 74, also 57, which we know has a lot to do with 12 at completion. So When They See Us equals 74. Then Corey Wise, who's the strangest character in this, his name is actually Carey. So Carey equals 68, 32, 94, 31, which is the 11 prime number. Funny about BB 61, it's 11. So 11 is the master number, of course. We also see a 60. And if you go down to I just fumbled over it. I want to say in Yusef, who's another key character in this. We'll find our 60 match. Okay. We'll find that. All right, but we look at 61. Corey equals 61. BB 61 is where the explosion took place. Remember, the explosion took place early in the morning. So this is before the Central Park 5 case was, the script was being unraveled. A lot of 24 in that story. We talk about Diaspora, 42, the nigga number 24. 2 times 4 is 8. We go back to the number of deception, which is 24. Oprah being a part of this, of course, she carries the number of deception. She's the biggest deceiver on TV. Now they're calling them in the exonerated five. So exonerated equals 51 and 41, the 13th prime number. And if you remember, Corey did 13 years in prison before he got out. Yet nobody really knew his story till this movie took place. Was Corey really in prison? And plus, the funny thing, like I said, Corey's name was Carey, which makes no sense. He was holding two names. And when he was arrested as Carey, but then they were calling him Corey. All right, so we go to Wise equals 20. Corey Wise, like I said, he's the biggest part in this whole deception. Wise equals 20. And if you go up to numbers, and we had. Oh, okay, I know what it was. Exactly what it was. So I had two prime numbers I was looking at. Okay, so 91 to 13 prime number. Go back into our numbers. Got a couple of 91s. 19, which is just a reflection of 91. Remember, this story took place on April the 19th. Both stories. 19 is just a reflection of 90. 91 is a reflection of 19. That's all you got, just a reflection. Just a reflection. And we go to Central Park 5 equals 91. 91 to 13 prime number. Remember, the gentlemen were in jail for 13 years. Got a lot of stuff inside of there. Got our 20. Y is equal 20. And when we took 20, we got 107. We got 24. We got 26, the God number. USS Iowa equal 26. 24 is all over the story. 44 is all over the story with USS Iowa. 46, the number of sacrifice. So you got two scripted stories. You take 61. We talk about the value of 61. Put 61 in here. The 18 prime number. 18 is 1. You can say 1 times 8 or 9, a number of completion, or going back to our number of deception or deceiving, which is 3 times 5. So anytime I talk about the number of deception, I talk about 3 times 5 or 5 times 3 gives an 8. But a lot of things, and like I said, the two main characters in this was Corey and Yusef, I found. Corey being 16, Yusef being 15, the number of deception. I don't think those two gentlemen went to jail. And I'm going to say this, that's just my opinion. Other people might personally know these gentlemen, but I don't think Corey or Yusef went to jail. I think the three gentlemen, if you watch, when they see us, there were 3 young men who did go to jail, but they didn't do that much time. And they were exonerated along with Corey and Yusef. But talk about masonry, Masonic families, we talk about oaths. There's things that people are asked to do, especially being in this area, because this is a big Masonic hub. So out here, you go to court. If you do any violations inside of the order, inside of society, you go to Masonic court. And if you're found guilty of anything, you don't have any choice but to do what they tell you to do. And this case was the perfect cover-up for what happened on the USS Iowa, which was another sacrifice, which they tried to kind of push off on a crazy sailor, but that was just a way to sacrifice some sailors. Who knows how many sailors actually died in that explosion, but they used the word 47 to tell you it was the foundation of building up for something. Okay, so a lot of 52 exonerated, 40, talking about 48, 159, 51 in there, 41 to 13, prime number 14. Just a lot of numbers inside of this case. But as you look at the case, 26 is the number of line all over the story. You start to see the same thing. Like on 19, this happened April 19. So there's a lot to look at, but scripted by the numbers, 2 events that happened 30 years ago. Before I get out of here, before I run out of time. Take 30. And of course 30, there it is, gives us 37 and 35, our numbers of deception. So right off the bat, this was the deception story. The whole story was a deception story. 30 is the number they use because it pretty much entails a deception. That's how they send information, that this story was a deception to cover up for another story. Mr. Mockley, Backroom Ministry, peace.